Okay, when should the furnace be replaced? This is kind of a tough one. These are pretty durable appliances. And because it's old, doesn't mean it's dangerous. They've had safety devices on these things, flame safeties and overheat safeties on them for many years. At least 50 years. And they're adequate. The newer ones are better. They have more controls and they're probably a little safer. However, these are not unsafe appliances. These newer furnaces are not. If you're thinking about replacing a working furnace that's working fine just for energy efficiency, I don't know, it's kind of up to you, but a 50-year-old furnace should have about a 70% operating efficiency. That means 70% of the gas that's burned, if it's gas or oil, should be turned into heat for the structure. I'll give you a little example. In a northern client, 2,200 square foot home, pretty new home, built within the last 20 years, would cost about $850 per year to heat. Now, of course, that's going to vary with years, but this is just kind of a ballpark number. If I had a 70% efficient furnace, $850. With a 95% furnace, that same bill would be $552. How long would it take to pay back a new furnace with the energy savings? If the new furnace costs $4,000, it'd take about 7 years. It's quite a long payback. I mean, there's other numbers that are involved here, and there's your own thoughts on it. But and one of the thoughts is the service guy. Ask him what he thinks, what he would do if it was his or his mother's furnace. Obviously, if you've got a very old house, doesn't have any insulation, has poor windows, the numbers are going to be much higher. The one exception is if you've got coal or wood furnace that has been converted to gas or oil, I'd get rid of it. Those things are terribly inefficient and really don't have very good safeties on them. So I think that one would be gone. Okay, the one other thing with gas furnaces, they do crack heat exchangers, and if someone finds a crack in a heat exchanger, ask to see it. I mean, it's just good business, really. You should know what it is, and he should be able to show you a reasonably big crack in the furnace, couple inches, maybe more. Cracks on front panels, really, I don't know, they can affect furnaces, and the jury's kind of out on whether those should be replaced. But if it has a crack in a heat exchanger, it can produce carbon monoxide, and that's a poisonous gas. So that is a real hazard. Most gas utilities will inspect your furnace for cracked heat exchanger, so you might be able to do that, and usually they don't charge anything for it. So but if the heat exchanger is cracked, I think your best route is to replace the furnace. Most furnaces built within the last 20 years, if they were 90 plus efficient, have lifetime warranties on their heat exchangers. I'm still not sure I would replace the heat exchanger rather than replace the furnace. I mean, you know, it's an option. Okay, while you're considering that, consider this. If your furnace has an expensive repair, anything over $500, sometimes a little less if it's a very old furnace, you might want to consider whether that makes sense and put the money into replacement of the furnace instead of repair. There again, pretty much up to you, depending on age of the furnace, your experience with it, how well it's worked, what kind of troubles it's given before. So, summing it up, so again, when should you replace your furnace? Older furnace has an expensive repair, and 6 months later has another expensive problem. You may have some second thoughts about that repair. So, you know, it's kind of like your car. You fix your motor and the transmission goes out. So the answer is also not just in the numbers. Sometimes you would just like to have a dependable piece of equipment in your basement or wherever it is. And that, a lot of people, that's how they purchase, is they say, well, I just don't want this thing to give me any more trouble, so get out of here, put a new one in. Also, if you want to conserve energy, that old 70%er ain't so efficient, and the newer furnaces go up to 95% efficient, so you can gain a lot by going to the high efficiency furnace. That's pretty much up to you. Newer furnaces, it's a little easier to add accessories like air conditioning and electronic air cleaners and all sorts of other silly things, humidifiers and stuff like that. Sometimes it would be best to replace a furnace partly because you want to add other things later. You're having something cool to talk about to your neighbors. I guess that could affect your decision too. So again, it always ends up balls in your court. If you trust your service guy, certainly listen to what he's got to say. He is going to know it as well as can be expected. And I had an earlier video on checking out service guys, and just go with your gut on it. Anyway, that's when you should replace the furnace.